Today I'm going to show you guys how I created this world map out of cherry wood. I took about $100 of cherry and I cut it down, glued it up, carved a large world map into it with my Onefinity Journeyman here. Awesome piece of machinery, by the way. So I went ahead and threw together this video in hopes of answering all of those additional questions that I got. Get this cherry ripped up, ready to get glued up. This is a 6-foot board, 1.75 inches thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it into 3 pieces, 24 inches wide each. 24 inches, 24 inches, 24 inches. Once that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and glue them all together. We'll be able to start this carve. Glue up time. So let's get into the digital side of things. There's a couple of things we need to look at. I had pulled up a 34 by 22 inch, which is probably about what I'm going to have. But what I really want to check is I want to check my 3D model. So using my software here, I use CarveCo. So using my software, I'm going to go ahead and import my 3D model just to look. Big file. I haven't run one that has been this big yet, so it'd be pretty interesting. Now this is way too big, so I'm going to go ahead and take the X size to 4. It's going to automatically adjust for Y. So we shrunk it down a good bit there. Go ahead and center this. All right, so right now you can see my X size has become 33.99 right here. Y size is at 20. Calculated that that board out there gives me about 864 square inches. So I need to make sure that the size that I'm trying to project into the CNC machine is going to give me the exact same. So I'm at 34 right now. I'm going to go ahead and take the X right on back to 32. See how that looks. This is pretty much exactly what I want. I can see that the edge of the model here going to be right along the edge of the board. I do like to make my carvings a little bit smaller than my actual working area just in case. Probably going to run a nice smooth cutout at the end of this carve. And another reason why we need to do this way is I need to go ahead and throw it into the CNC itself so that I can get a good projection on how long this is going to take. This is part of your planning phase. It's pretty important that you know how long this is going to take, because I may need to pause the machine. You know, there may be some kind of power outage that's going to mess with this. Hopefully not, but you do have to plan that. So right here I've got a 32 by 19. So I just need to make sure that that's going to fit in the boards that I have and make sure that I cut those boards appropriately. Okay, so the dimension 32 by 19 will give me a square inches needed at 608. I have enough wood to do 864. I want to do a little bit shorter than that. So let me see if I can scale this up a little bit. Now you also have to take into account this image, this 3D model is wider than it is tall. So keeping everything relative, everything linked up here, can make the X size a little bit bigger, whereas the Y size will not be. I may actually be able to do a bigger model than this. Let me go ahead and punch in 34 again and see what we got. All right, so if I run the image size at 34, that's going to make my Y 20.4. 34 times 4, which gives us about 700 square inches. I have 864 to play with, so I think this is going to be good. We're going to have a 34 by 20 size piece of wall art here. The other thing you want to check, again, everything being relative, everything linked together, this is going to require at least 1.37 inches of depth into the wood. The piece that I have is 1.75 inches, inch and 3/4. So that's more than enough. I should have, at its deepest point, I should still have at least 0.4 inches of wood to back that up. So there's plenty of strength behind the piece. So this should be pretty interesting. Go ahead and paste this down. This is going to take a minute. Take a look at it. This is the 3D aspect of it. Okay. This image is pretty much already built. Everything is ready to go. Everything looks really nice. I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of toolpaths. And the toolpaths is what gets converted into what's called G-code. That'll go into the Onefinity machine that I've got running in the garage. And that's how the machine knows what it's cutting. So in order to do this, you have to have a vector. I'm going to go ahead and create a vector here. Standard rectangle vector all the way across this piece. Created the vector. So that gives me the ability to go ahead and create a couple of toolpaths. This is going to be a machine relief toolpath. Bits that I've already chosen. I'm going to have my 1/4 inch Jenny for clearance. So let's take a look. 1/4 inch. Well, we're looking at finishing first. So I'm going to have my 16th inch skinny Jenny. That's going to be my finishing tool. Raster, it's fine. Tolerance, allowances, all fine. The roughing passes, this is going to speed me up a little bit. If I just run a finishing relief toolpath, it's probably going to be on there 4 or 5 days. This is a pretty large size piece of art, so we're on roughing options now. I want to use my 1/4 inch Jenny compression bit. Need for a profile pass. Add ramping moves. Another thing I have to go ahead and do is define the material thickness. Right here in the software, 1.75 inches. Okay, it's going to turn everything a little bit gray. Now the software understands what depth of material. All right, so materials thickness at 1.75, safe Z is going to be at 1.40, home Z is at 0.5. This is all above the material of 1.75. Give them a name. This is going to calculate 2 separate tool paths, one for the finishing pass and one for the clearance path. I'm just going to call it 3D model and hit calculate. This is going to take a good minute here. This is a good bit of work. Okay, so our tool paths have now been calculated. It's going to show me what my roughing pass looks like. See, it's doing a lot of the clearance of the material that's going to be removed so that the finishing pass can take a little bit less time. Looks pretty solid to me. Let's take a look at the finishing path. You can see this is going to take a long time. So I'm going to be camped out in the garage watching this for a minute. I'll probably get a camera to set it up out there or something. This is on fast forward too. See how it's getting all the little details here. Great, looks fine to me. I'll go ahead and run this forward. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch this thing load, so I'm going to go ahead and finish reviewing that later. From what I've got here, it looks pretty. The thing I want to do is go ahead and load this up into my software. I'm going to go ahead and save these toolpaths. I've determined that they're good to go. Over my window here. My CNC machine connects to my Wi-Fi so I can load these files straight into the machine, which is handy. Go ahead and save this as a 3D model finish. It'll provide me with 2 separate toolpaths, so I'll be able to run one and then the other one on another day independent of each other. So now I've got a roughing and a finishing. I'm gonna go ahead and load these into my machine. Open this up. This is exactly where I saved it at. 3D model finishing. That's the one that interests me the most. I already know that roughing is going to be about 5 to 6 hours because I'm running a 34 by 20. But the finishing pass is what I really need to know so I can plan out my week accordingly. I'm probably only going to put 8 to 10 hours of carving in per day. So it's going to take me 23 hours. Obviously, the machine needs supervision. So right now it's going to go ahead and process that. And this is going to take a while too. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward all of this. All right, so I finally got this thing loaded up into the Onefinity. Right now, the Onefinity is telling me that I need to have 1 day, 8 hours, 33 minutes, and 27 seconds to complete this carve. 32 hours and 30 minutes. So I was right about on the money, about 3 days. So I can plan for that. Go ahead and head out and finish up this glue up. Learned a lot throughout this carve. I could have pushed my bits a little bit harder. What I was concerned about is actually causing too much wear and tear on the bit, but it looks like it didn't really do that much to them after about 36 hours of carving. So the roughing pass, 1/4 inch Jenny, took about 12 hours. The finishing pass took about 24 hours total with the 1/16 and skinny Jenny bit. I do like those bits, so I didn't really feel like pushing them too hard, but I think I actually could have cut my time in half. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, I am by no means an expert yet at this point. I learn something new every project that I do. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this from me in the future.